Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business to business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank #1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Hey, everybody. I want to thank our sponsor for this season, SEMrush. SEMrush is an SEO tool that I use for my clients and I absolutely adore. It not only helps me audit the site to find out what's wrong or what needs to be improved on my clients' sites from an SEO standpoint, but it also helps me to keep track of the keywords and key phrases we're going after, where they rank in Google and Bing. They have their own index that you can put parallel to Google's index. It is an incredible tool. If you go to our show notes for each episode, there is a link. If you click on it, it just tells them that we sent you, and you can try their tool out for free. I think it's for 7 days right now, and it is an incredible tool. It is well worth the money. It's actually not that bad when you think about the quality and the amount of value you're going to get from this tool. Check it out. Go to our show notes, and hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Enigma. This is Seth Goldstein. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. Today is a very special episode. I have my good buddy Shawn Swaim on the program. Shawn is the SEO geek. Yes, he self-proclaimed. He calls himself that. He has a website, Shawn the SEO Geek. But you know what? To tell you the truth, after 2 or 3 years of knowing the guy, I know he's a geek, and he knows a crap ton about SEO. So put those two together, you have the SEO Geek. And he is chock full of knowledge. If you don't follow him on social media, we'll have all his socials in the show notes. The guy is the value he puts out there, just puts out in the world and just shares, is enormous. And it's, I guess maybe it's the big head thing, because if you look at me and him, we both have very big heads. But he has so much knowledge on the topic. And so let's talk a little bit about your background, Shawn. Who are you? And how did you get started in this whole crazy world?
Thank you for having me on, Seth. Who am I?
Who are you and why do we care?
Who am I and why do you care? I mean, I kind of picked the name focused around the SEO Geek. Well, first off, because the Twitter handle was available. So that was a key driver there. But I've always kind of had that geeky streak. When I discover something and if I start to like it, I'm going all in. There is no middle ground with me. I don't passively like anything. I'm drilling in. And I found myself into the world of SEO exactly by that. It just seemed like a fun thing to do. I became obsessed with that naturally. Mm-hmm. And then somebody asked the question, what's this weird thing? You know, I just paid you all this money to build my website. Now, how do I get it ranked on Google and have it generating business for me? And it was that moment that was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what the let's figure it out.
That's awesome. And you did spend some time in-house, so you have like the entrepreneurial streak, but you also did work for One SEO and NetElixir. Tell us about the times in-house. Like, I mean, how'd that go?
Yeah, both of those agencies allowed me to kind of function as an entrepreneur. if that makes
Mhm.
sense. So, early in the days I was employee number 6 at one SEO.
Wow.
So being there was really beneficial because I got to see, hey, this is what growth actually looks like. I
That's
was
cool.
freelancing before that, and it was like, oh yeah, you get a project here and there, and that's exciting. But
Mhm.
geez, to see a true sales team at work, learn how to build processes,
Mhm.
do all that stuff, build teams, and that was excitement unlike anything else. And I was there for about 3 years and then got tapped by a recruiter that was working on behalf of NetElixir.
Oh,
And that
wow.
was even more insane. And by the time I came in, they were already a pretty large organization, 120 plus employees, several multi-million dollar contracts. They were moving and grooving before I got there, but they didn't offer SEO as a service.
Oh,
So
wow.
by working with a really good recruiter, I got linked up with them and I helped them build out that part of the business. And went on from there. We got to the point that it was no longer the right fit there, and it was totally cool. Then kind of got to the point where it was I had gotten let go from there, and I told my wife Janine, I was like, you know what, it's either going to be that I'm hitting they let me go on a Friday.
Hmm.
It was kind of like, I'm taking the weekend. On Monday, I'm going to either, hit the ground running and get a new job, or I'm just going to start my own thing like I've always wanted to do.
That's the thing that you always wanted to do your own thing, so it was your chance.
That was, yeah, that was, so there's the mantra of, nothing happens to you, everything happens for you.
Mhm.
And it was, at the moment, it was kind of like, oh man, what the hell am I going to do? And then it was, no, this is what I've always wanted. It just, they made the decision for me.
Everything happens for a reason. Is that
Absolutely.
even if it's you have to sit there for a while and think about it, like
Yeah.
what is that reason? There is a reason for it, and
100%.
it's fantastic. So pretty much you ventured out into the entrepreneurial world. I mean, you did it a little bit before you went in house. You did in house for a while, and then it was kind of made up for you. You're like, all right, I'm going to do entrepreneurial again. And what made you decide to go like headlong into SEO? And I mean, were you still doing websites at the time? What was your plan? Like, what was your thinking? What was going through that head of yours when
So,
you that Monday?
yeah. So, what I had come off the heels of was working with very large companies, like not to like gloat or anything like that, but I'm one of few SEO consultants that can say, you have brands in your home right now that I've worked on the SEO. So I came off the heels of that and being all before the age of 30, working
Mhm.
with these monster brands. And then, now kind of in a position where it's like, all right, I don't have these contacts. I don't have the network. I don't have the ability to do trade shows and all that.
Mhm.
I'm starting at the ground level here. So it was kind of like, all right, well, what I do have is the experience of knowing what big brands do with their marketing. Maybe I can take that to smaller local businesses. So that's where things started. It was, I was kind of doing anything that would pay in the beginning, I think, like most entrepreneurs do. And then started drifting into the mode of providing SEO and website design. And then I drifted towards specializing in, and I'm jumping forward 3 years
Yeah.
here, but moving into doing SEO for e-commerce businesses was really where I kind of landed. Again, if you're going to go geeky, dig in.
Mhm.
E-commerce websites are more complex, so you know, go for it.
You went for the more complex thing. That's awesome.
Yep.
So what do you like? All right, here's a good question. What do you like about being an entrepreneur? What do you dislike?
The reason I love it is the reason I don't like it, and it is that the buck stops with you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
If you win, it's because you made yourself win. If you lose, it's because you made yourself lose. You know what I mean? So that there is, you know,
Very profound, but yeah, I
it's
get you.
it's
Yeah.
it's on you for better or for worse.
It's awesome and scary at the same time.
Oh, for sure.
So your sweet spot's e-commerce SEO, but with the SEO landscape kind of going crazy, I mean, it seems like Google's making up for lost time this year. I mean, 2020 they weren't doing much. They were doing stuff. I'm sure they were doing plenty, to keep themselves busy. But I mean, every week it seems like there's an algorithm update and
Yep.
just stuff like this. What is your view on Google's dominance in the space? Because being that entrepreneur and also seeing, these ragtag, click go, a ragtag outfit,
Yep.
which is not really, but compared to Google, they are. Like, what's your view on their dominance?
I think that they lend a lot of their dominance to a couple factors. One being right place, right time. Like you think about every search engine that came before them, like you had to change which search engine you were using every 2 weeks because some nefarious SEO characters would get a site talking about Viagra ranked for roofer near me or something like that. So people had to jump from search engine to search engine, but then Google so they were on the heels of everyone being pissed off about other search engines.
Mm-hmm.
But then they just built a genuinely better product. So it was suddenly like, oh, you can't just, put random things up and get really bad results. So, and this was, of course, in 2003, 2004, that they really came into dominance. That's the dawn of high-speed internet. That's the dawn of everyone's starting to lead. It's the dawn of social networks really starting to come out. So, you kind of have the dawn of everybody depending on the internet, for lack of a better word, for where they're going to spend the majority of their time. So they position themselves perfectly where they could become the verb.
And then they became the verb to Google. You don't say to Bing. You don't say to Bing or to DuckDuckGo. By the way, that doesn't run off the tongue very easily. To DuckDuckGo.
Yep.
But what's your future? What do you think the future is for Bing, which is 6%, and DuckDuckGo, which is 1%, or not even that? What's your thought on this?
Yeah, so this might make me sound cynical or whatever, but I think Bing's real growth is going to come because they're tricking people into using it because it looks so much like Google.
Mm-hmm.
It's the default search engine of the default browser of the default computer that everyone buys.
A lot of defaults there, yeah.
And it happens to look like Google. So people think I talk with clients periodically where they think they're Googling something. It's like, oh no, I'm not number 1 on Google for this. I'm number 5. It's like number 5 on Bing. So let's look at what browser you're using, and oh goodness, I can't even believe blah 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 blah. So,
and Bing's not that bad. To their credit, Bing is not that bad of a search engine, but they're not Google.
They're not. Yeah, correct. And DuckDuckGo, I think where they're gonna come in is there is a very strong sentiment around privacy right now. People are abandoning Facebook left and right because they're genuinely and rightfully so concerned about their privacy. So as people come to realize that, it's like, oh, the same thing that creeps me out and skeeves me out about Facebook, Google's doing the same.
If not worse.
Probably worse because they have more track record. So I think as people realize that this is the reality of the internet, more people will jump over to DuckDuckGo, start exploring different things like different VPNs. I think that's kind of where things are headed because people just are freaked out. We're not that far removed from an internet-free age. So people that have come to like using social media remember a time when it wasn't there.
Even we do. I mean, we're like you're like a mid millennial, and I'm an old millennial. But
right,
I remember AOL, like the beep boop.
Absolutely. And I think yesterday, so the day that we're recording this, of course, yesterday was the big Facebook
outage. Yeah.
And I talked to a handful of people, and it was kind of like, it wasn't too bad. It was kind of a nice day. I didn't go down any rabbit holes or anything like that. I just kind of got my work done and, and lived.
I realized how much I look at Instagram during the day.
Yeah.
I never realized I look at it that often. It might be for a split second, but my thumb, when I go open my phone, I click on Instagram. My thumb
Yep.
goes doink right
Yep.
there. It's hilarious.
Yep.
So yeah. So here's another thing, because you're a daddy to a really awesome little guy. What's it like being an entrepreneur with a family?
Whew. You know, it's the hardest juggle that you could ever imagine. It's because I made a commitment that I don't want to be one of them dads that's just not there for ball games and not there for the milestones and all that. So, just being honest with yourself, I guess, would be the first step, but knowing that actions are going to have to follow what that truth is. So whatever you commit your true north to be, you're going to have to be ready to, like, all right, if I'm not going to miss the first steps, I'm not going to miss, this, whatever, you have to be ready to say, like, okay, if that's the case, and I'm still committed to growing my company, that means after he goes to bed, I'm going to have to take that hour and invest it in something else that's going to help the business continue.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work-life balance that goes on. It's just, I mean, I know for a fact I have an 8-year-old, and you have a little guy. I have an 8-year-old, and
Yeah.
it's just like, how much time can I commit to him? How much time can I commit to my wife? How much time do I commit to my business?
Yeah, especially with what we do, where you're not just talking about your livelihood, you kind of have other people's livelihoods on the hook here too. Where it is like, he is depending on you to get him results. So it's
Absolutely
a lot to juggle.
It's a lot. So Shawn, best place to find you. What is your favorite spot to be online where people can interact with you?
I find myself a lot on Facebook. That's where I do most of my online hanging out. I'm mostly joking about different things, so I'm open to friend requests and all that. So that's always cool.
And I do see you on LinkedIn more and more lately. So
that's true. Yeah, I've been trying to really expand outward with where I'm sharing stuff. So LinkedIn is definitely where you're going to get a lot of the tips, a lot of the advice that I just share.
A little bit of snark over there, but more on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to get all the snark on Facebook. You might get 5% of the snark on LinkedIn.
But it's good snark. So Shawn, this has been awesome. And also check out Shawn, the SEO Geek.com. We'll put that up on the screen right there. It's Shawn spelled phonetically, spelled the right way, not the Irish way. SHAWN. That's how you spell Shawn, people. I'm biased. But it's Shawn spelled the right way, SEOgeek.com. If you guys are loving the show, please give us a review in the directory of your choice. Podchaser is my new favorite because it's not attached to an ecosystem per se, and it's starting to get its own. And if you want to subscribe and you're hearing this on live stream and you want to hear a little bit more buttoned up version of this, you can go over to entrepreneursenigma.com, which will just bring you over to my website, and you can subscribe. All the buttons are over there. So, and Shawn, this has been so much fun. Thank you for coming on, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Keith Smith hosts a great podcast called The Fuel Podcast. Keith, tell us what these fine folks will get out of listening.
Fuel is all about the advertising business. It's like Mad Men for the ears. Every show, I pick on a hot topic to discuss or interview a celebrity from the world of British and American advertising. We chat about all sorts of things, and I try and uncover the real person behind the image using just my powerful charm, incisive wit, and incredible humility. capability.
Awesome. Where can people subscribe?
Wherever they normally get their podcasts, from Apple, Google, Spotify, the MPN website, or just visit my website at thefuelpodcast.com.
You heard him. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.